move
Yeah.
on. Okay. My name is Gage Weston. I'm the Youth Services Program Manager. I've been in this position since last July, so it's almost a full year. Before that, I worked in the Pathways program for a year, so it's almost my 2-year anniversary here at the Y. Before this, I worked at a couple different places. I worked at Aware in Butte. I worked at Watson's Emergency Foster Care here, and I've also worked at a couple elementary schools as well. And growing up, my parents were both teachers, and so I kind of grew up around childcare and child activities. So it's kind of my passion growing up. Yeah, so kind of where to start. Youth service team is currently fully staffed. We have 8 staff, including myself, 2 of which are our GUTS team, and then 6 youth advocates. Brooke is both a youth advocate and a GUTS coordinator, or GUTS advocate, so there's some overlap there. And most of our team's actually been here for over a year at this point. We just have 2 people that have not. They've been here for about 5 months and 1 month. So our longevity on our team has been actually really great. Most of the people that are on the team had started actually before I did in this position, so that's really cool. And then I just have like some general tidbits, general stats, good information for working here as a youth services team. First off, like 1 in 15 children are exposed to intimate partner violence. Intimate partner violence is often a leading cause of houselessness. And child abuse and neglect and domestic violence have a co-occurrence rate of about 30 to 60%. So if there's domestic abuse in the house, there's a fairly high rate of child abuse as well. And for houseless children, 1 in 19 children experience houselessness before 1st grade in America. And at any one time, 1 in 50 children enrolled in public schools will be experiencing houselessness, which is quite a bit. And speaking of which, in Missoula, our rates are actually quite a bit higher. So in the 22-23 school year, Missoula Elementary School actually had 313 houseless kids, which is about 5%, and 169 houseless high school youth, which is about 4% of our high school population. So we average about 5% of our youth in Missoula are houseless at any time. Yeah. And then if anyone has any questions, please stop me and feel free to ask.
Can you explain what GUTS is?
Yes. Yeah, so GUTS is Girls and Gender Diverse Youth Using Their Strength. It's been around for about 20 years now. It's actually started by Jen, who's now our executive director. So really it's an empowerment program for girls focused on using their voice, learning how to do some like activism in their community, really make change. And it is also made as a sexual and domestic violence prevention program. So it teaches a lot of like emotional connections, what's like emotional health and safety, as well as like basics of consent. And it's made for elementary has their own curriculum, then we have a middle school curriculum. We used to have a high school group as well, but COVID has kind of destroyed a lot of that funding. So we're still rebuilding that from the ground up. Yeah, we used to be in every school as well as across the state in 7 different rural towns. Now we're in 8 schools and just in our leave for rural. But there have been some places that have asked for that curriculum to come back, and we're working on that. We also have a GUTS group here on site for any residents staying, so they don't have to leave, or maybe they're like being homeschooled or anything like that. We encourage any girls or gender diverse youth of any age to come join that, as long as they're like 2nd or 3rd grade usually. Yeah.
If there was a GUTS program in another school, who would lead that curriculum then?
Yeah, so GUTS is actually a volunteer-led program. So Mia is our GUTS coordinator, and she helps train all the volunteers, facilitators. Yeah, and so they do yearly trainings, and then they all meet like once a month to kind of talk about how the GUTS groups are going. There are also options for internships for bachelor students at the university, and that has been taken up in case anyone wants to get that kind of experience of facilitating a group and violence prevention programs. Yeah, and then we also would lean on that intern to kind of be a little bit more of a leader. And we did last semester, and that was a great experience. So it's usually how it's ran. We used to have 6 GUTS positions total, and one of those was a rural coordinator, and their whole job was to go and train facilitators in rural communities. Sadly, we don't have that position anymore, and so it's kind of just been just Mia with all of it. So, but she's great. Yeah, so just some numbers from our current fiscal year. We worked with 173 individual youth for the past 12 months. That does not include all the youth that stayed at the Metal Art. Some didn't participate in any programs, but we did have 173 that did participate, all the way from 3 days old to 18 years of age. So we get the whole age spectrum. And at our highest, which has been the highest of the Metal Art to date, we had 83 youth staying in our building. There was 63 in FHC and like 20 something in Pathways, so there's quite a bit all at once. Holidays, thanks to our amazing volunteers, partners, and collaborators, all of you guys. We do help provide families with activities and gifts for Halloween, Christmas, and Easter. We hope to continue that tradition and add maybe more holidays down the line. And then our child spaces, each shelter has their own playground, their own indoor playing space, as well as their own teen rooms. Then we have our children's play center here, where a lot of our activities take place, such as our story time, arts and crafts, Wednesday night group, Tuesday night group. A lot of that takes place straight in this classroom. Yeah. And so what do we do? First off, we do short-term child supervision. We're not childcare. We can just provide supervision, so parents can't leave the site, but say they need to run up to their room, got to make a phone call, apply to housing, apply to jobs, meet with an advocate. We can help supervise the kids during that time. Our only thing is they can't go off site. Behavior management support. If there's any parents or families or advocates that are having some problems with behaviors, or maybe they're just routine settings, such as like brushing your teeth, bedtime, potty training, anything like that, we do have resources that can help. If we don't know, we can connect them with places that can help more. We help with school enrollment and support, including working with MCPS within the McKinney-Vento Act. So if they have a school that they were going to before they came here, to make sure that they stay in that school. They don't have to transfer schools when they get here. Physical needs, we do try to get as much clothing, supplies, and food as we can for kids. We're constantly going through, especially baby stuff right now and in the past couple months. We go through formula quite a bit, teething toys quite a bit, clothing, diapers, wipes. I feel like we go through baby wipes. As soon as we get them, they're gone. Constantly need those. Some external programming, we connect children with clubs and activities. One of those includes our Gut Summer Camp, which is a bike camp for a full week for girls going into 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, no, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. That happens 4 times throughout the summer. We have 3 groups for the Missoula kids and then 1 group for the Arlee kids. There's still spots open for that, but really it's a 5-day program where kids go around, bike around Missoula, go to like free cycles, go to the food bank, learn like sustainability, they go whitewater rafting, learn some like leadership skills, all that. It's really fun. And so that's what Guts does in the summer. And I have a full itinerary if anyone's ever interested in that. I can hand that out too. Yeah, and then some medical advocacy. We can help connect families to child primary care providers. As well as we have a 24-hour telehealth here on a tablet called Montana. We partner with Montana Pediatrics to provide that. So if they ever are on site, as well as 6 months after they leave our building, they can get telehealth from wherever. So just using their cell phone, they can talk with a doctor. That way they don't have to go, at 3 a.m. to the ER. They can have an opinion right then and there. Okay, I'm not talking too fast if anyone has any questions. Cool. So our programming, we currently offer structured programming 5 days a week. Really also thanks to Family Promise MIC, they help with our story time on Monday nights, and then our arts, crafts, and different board game type activities on our Thursdays. And we really rely on volunteers for those activities, so it's great. Those happen. We also have our Tuesday night group, which is simultaneous with the Tuesday night group for adults. Ours is much more fun, but we do try to incorporate some emotional learning and safety education. So we might watch like Inside Out, which is like a kid's movie about like learning emotions, do a little color sheet, make it a fun way of just kind of learning like what they're feeling. And then movie night is on Wednesday evenings, which is by far our most popular. It coincides with the house meetings in both shelters. And at most we've had 40 kids show up to one of those, which is a little out of hand. 40 kids just in here, but we usually average about 15 to 20. But all the kids love that night, so it's a good time. And then direct family support. We do offer some basic case management. We leave most of the case management to the shelters, but for the kids-related things, we do try to do a little bit, especially around behaviors and connecting them to resources. We collaborate with our clinical team for a lot of that, get them in touch with maybe therapists that might be able to help, have shorter wait lists. There was also our wraparound care program that we tried this last year, which was to really connect the families and the kids as a whole family system to therapy. We learned quite a bit from that, and so we'll see how that transforms this next year with new clinical students. And then wide variety of other additional services as needed. Really, our youth service team is super flexible just because our population is constantly changing, whether that's ages or how many people are staying here or what the needs of the kids are. And so our programming really is flexible and changes to what we see happening in the shelter. So if there's a family that says we need this, we really just okay, let's figure out how we can brainstorm an option to meet that need. Yeah, and then our GUTS action groups. So every GUTS group does have an action group, and that's really their end of the year project to kind of be an advocate for the cause that they believe in as a group. So this last year we worked on deforestation. There was some things for the Humane Society, no kill shelter, stuff like that. So what they do is they come up with their project that they want to help support. They'll create some arts and crafts, whether they make stickers or make bookmarks or make something, and then they sell it to the community for a quarter or 50 cents. And then they send that money to the cause that they chose. So this year we actually, across all 8 schools and the Meadowlark, we earned about $800 for all the causes that they backed, which is amazing. One group that did lemonade and slime, which is quite the combination, they made about $200, which is really cool. So yes, what kids can do is actually pretty amazing. Yeah, and so I kind of already talked about all the GUTS stuff, but does anybody have any questions about GUTS? Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering, I'm just thinking, because I'm a retired nurse. I wondered if you know about the Baby Bistro.
What store is that?
It's called the Baby Bistro.
I didn't.
And it's a support group for moms that are breastfeeding.
Oh.
And it's just at the food bank,
Yeah.
so that would be within walking distance.
Definitely.
And it's every Tuesday, I think, from 11 till 12:30 or something like that. I'd have to double check, or you could double check on the time, but you could just check with the health department, because there's a lactation consultant there, and it's just for new moms that have questions or just need support. So I was thinking it's so close by, and yeah, that
great.
could really maybe benefit some of your clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a time where we had, I think, 4 newborns in the span of a month. And so we had a new moms group even during that time. So yeah, having something like this, that was fantastic. I did not know. Thank you. Yeah. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, it's not necessarily that's related, but you said you have the family or the shelter meeting on Mondays?
Wednesday.
It is Wednesdays.
Yes.
Okay, and then that's movie night?
Yes.
Okay, good. I thought you said Monday, so.
Yeah, we have story time on Mondays, which is our Monday activity. Yeah, and then Wednesday is both shelters have their meetings that way. Yeah. Perfect. So I can give you some updates about our 2024 plan and what we've been doing and what we're planning on doing. So really, we're looking at our current needs, especially. We have a lot of actually older kids right now alongside newborns. The school-age kid population is not as high as it has been in the past. As well as we have quite a few neurodiverse youth in our building right now. So this upcoming Tuesday, we're actually having a training of working with neurodiverse youth and those behaviors, because they have their own specific challenges and can be a little frustrating at times to kind of navigate. And so this Tuesday, it's an all-staff YWCA meeting that will be recorded, so I can send it out to you guys if you want. But yeah, we'll be having that training. And is also looking at our spaces. So we just got our teen space up and running completely today. It's fully done. And so that space is on the second floor lounges of both shelters. They have a pool table, the foosball table, a arcade cabinet, a Nintendo Switch, a brand new TV, some older youth art supplies, a karaoke machine, some new furniture. Just we kind of like renovated the whole space to be a little bit more inclusive for our older youth. We found that they really don't like staying down like in this play area when there's 30, 40, 5-year-olds running around. It doesn't, not exactly what they're interested in. So we created their own space for them, and so far the feedback we got is pretty good. So I'm excited about that. The next project we're looking at is actually making sensory rooms. So rooms where if a kid is feeling overwhelmed or an adult, that they can go and it's a quieter space, less going on. And we submitted a proposal for that last month. So hopefully we hear back fairly soon. And that will be also in both shelters on the first floor. If anybody's been in there, it's in the current youth like office room over there. So that space will be completely remodeled, construction and everything, to make it a little bit more welcoming for kids. And our last big project that we're hoping to do by the end of the year is create brand new kids play areas in both shelters. So if you've seen our play areas, they're not very big, especially in FHC. It's like a little almost hallway, but you put 2 kids in there and it feels packed. Our hope is to kind of take inspiration from the library where they have the kids play pit, and take out some of these bookcases on the far end of FHC and then in pathways, and make it like a kids play pit, where multiple kids could be there. That's kind of the play area, and they can get some of that physical activity, especially during the winter. You can get that out in a safe way rather than running on the couches, jumping off counters, stuff like that. So yeah, those are 3 big projects we're trying to do for this year in terms of spaces. And we got one done, and so I'm hopeful for the other 2. We're also looking at creating more teen-focused programming now that we have our teen space. We've had a lot of teens come and talk about issues with depression, issues with feeling isolated, and then also issues with maybe there's family things going on at home that they have no one to talk about. And there used to be some teen groups in the past. We're really looking to like restart those back up. Yeah, and kind of meet the teens where they're at. Yeah, and then for summer programming, we're really kind of using this first 2 weeks to see what times and days are really needed for more support. We're completely open to moving some schedules around to best meet the needs of the families. As well as we do have access to the Sussex School, which is right behind us. They gave us access to their big playground and play field throughout the summer. And now that we're fully first aid certified, we're comfortable bringing kids over there. We can have like kickball days and field days and stuff, which we're excited about. And then the last thing, at the end of the summer, we're hoping to have our back to school barbecue again. A lot of people came together, helped that out last year. We gave 56 kids brand new backpacks with all the school supplies that they might need. It was such a big hit that it's been requested that if it's possible to do it again this year. So right now we're just like looking at places where we might be able to get some of those school supplies to offer to kids at the beginning of the school year next year. Yeah, so that's about all I got. Sorry, I didn't come the most prepared, but if anyone has any questions, I'm completely open to answering them. Yeah, or any thoughts, any feedback. Yeah.
I think you came very prepared.
Yeah,
Thank you.
right.
I feel like I just talked a little fast.
So on Thursday nights, if we want to come and do crafts and stuff, is that something that we should coordinate with you staff members first to kind of see what they've done in the past, or do we just, I mean, sometimes during my rotation, I've done it, and then this last time I didn't, and I felt guilty, and so help me through that process.
Yeah, it's completely up to you what you feel is best. I kind of talk with Chuck quite a bit, and it's really us supporting you. And so if there's anything you want us to get ready, we could do that. So like put stuff out on tables, get some art supplies ready to go. Or if you want to bring your own stuff and like just tell us like how you want to organize, anything like that. We've worked with like No Heads Up. We worked with maybe next week we want to try this. So really what works best for you guys, and we'll support however best we can. The heads up is great, just it also lets them kind of know what to expect. But if there's no heads up, it's okay. We're pretty flexible.
So if we wanted to get a hold of you or Chuck to
Yeah.
give you a heads up, how would we best do that?
Best is email, and I can give you, maybe PJ, can you send out my email after
Yeah,
all
I can
this?
do that.
Cool.
Okay.
I'll send that out with the PowerPoint.
I think PJ, you can help support that too.
Yeah, I can also be a good point person for that.
Yeah,
Get it connected.
definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
And alongside that, actually, during the holidays, there was some volunteers that came with their kids. It's actually really great for some of the kids. Sadly, they can't go in the shelters, but they did some holiday stuff in the classroom. So if any volunteers are interested in that, all we need is a heads up that they're going to bring their kids. Then we're more than welcome for that, actually.
So like during the school break, is that what you would
Anytime, as long as there's a heads up that I can then let the like residents know that there might be community members with kids there, and we've never had a problem with it, but it's just making sure that they're informed.
So for the teen rooms, so are the youth advocates then helping supervise that? Is that how that's working?
Yeah, so we do allow the teens to kind of have like temporary unsupervised and 30-minute increments, and we check in on them. Just because I think part of the feedback we got is that they're constantly being watched while they're here. There's a lot of kids, a lot of adults. And they kind of just want some space to relax. Any kids that are under the age of 14, they have to have either an advocate or a parent or guardian in the room with them at all times. Yeah, and then as for youth advocates, we try to keep the room open during our shifts from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. And outside of that is up to the shelter staff. If they feel they have capacity, they can open up the space. But we leave that up to the shelters. We're try to collaborate as much as we can on that.
Okay, good.
Yay.
Yes. Thanks everybody. I appreciate it. Yes.